other thing to do today is deal with how to keep someone on the ground if we need to. I mean, ideally, what we're going to do is get someone down, kick them, and get out of there, or not kick them and just get out of there or escape. But let's say that for some reason we have to hold someone there. There's maybe someone else with us that we can't abandon. So we're going to have to try a pin. So let's just look at a couple really basic ones that we can practice. The super basic way to get someone on the ground is this #1 arm control. And the way we're going to do that is if someone's got a hold of us, we want to give them a reason to back up so we can straighten their arm and twist this arm right into the middle of our body, just like here. Drag them out to the side, just like that. Okay, so that gets them to the ground. We put someone down on the ground in a face-down, prone position. And I'm going to get this arm right in front of my body with pressure from my forearm on a nice straight arm and drag them out to the side. I'm pressing on this arm the whole time. So I've got them down. So that's a good basic way to get my opponent to the ground. From here, I need to keep him here. First things first, if I can just stay standing, that would be ideal. So I'm just going to keep pressure here and press. And that ought to do it. Now I can bring up my other hand up. As long as I've got this arm straight, I can stay here. And I'm pressing the back of his, or the front of his palm down into his forearm, just like that. If I let this turn, then I'm going to lose it. He can just get up pretty easy. Okay, good. But as long as I keep this straight, I can hold him here. Even get out my phone, if I can do it with one hand, and call for help. Of course, you can, if he starts to fight you, you can kick him, but I'd rather not. I'd rather just hold him right here, extending the arm straight and pressing in. I won't do it hard, but normally I'd press in with the palm of my hand right toward the shoulder there. Let me tap it just enough till you feel it. There. I'm leaning in with my whole body. My lead knee is coming in just like that. Next thing you can do is, if you need to relax and come down to the ground, you can do that. I can bring his arm straight out to the side from here and kneel down right beside it, just like this. It's very important that his arms stay at least 90 degrees from his body. If it comes back here, it's going to be very easy for him to roll into me. Yeah, there's nothing holding him down. But if it's 90 and I've got my knee pressed into his armpit here, it's kind of like this is a bar. It prevents him from rolling. Try to go ahead and roll into me. It's more difficult. Now to control this, what I'm doing is I'm taking my hand that's closest to him, grabbing just above the bone here, right at the end of the triceps. Or if I really want to add pressure, I can take my, what's called tegatana, the side of my hand, which is, a katana is the sword, and the tegatana is like the sword hand, the side of my hand. And I can press it into the back of the tricep muscle, right from there. So same thing. Here I'm grabbing his wrist and pushing it in toward his head. If I didn't happen to have this, that's fine. I can just grab the wrist. And I want to use my feet to push forward a little, to push my body forward and down onto this arm. So this is pretty good right here. So go ahead and try to move. Yeah, he doesn't want to try to move. This is better because it hurts, but this is good too. If you feel like this is still too much work, you can sneak your knee up on top here and now just relax. This is a pretty good place to be to keep him from moving. Okay, so that's the first one. Here's where I went. I started here. I'm pressing down into the wrist. I'm grabbing with my last 3 fingers, by the way, because that's the strongest part of my grip. And same thing here. Or pressing with the tegatana. Pressing forward from my toes, and that controls it pretty well. Extra pressure here. One other tip is once you have it here, you could actually hyperextend this elbow by pulling up on the hand or even resting it on your leg. Now you've got control and you've got your hands, so you can begin to do other things. But for basic control, that's it. All right, put me on #1. Good. Okay. Stretch my arm out nice and wide. Good. Make sure your inside knee is pressing well into my ribs. Good. My face is turned away so that I can't be kicked or anything. That's good. You got nice pressure there. Let's show some options. Go ahead and show the wrist press at the end here. Wrap your hand around and press my wrist in.
Like that?
Yeah. Good. And keep the pressure there. All right, good. Good. Now, lift your inside knee and just put it right up over the arm near the shoulder. Good. Now from here, lift the wrist up onto your other knee. Okay, now let go. Okay, yeah, I'm pretty well pinned. Better would be if I can get a shoulder lock. So come on over here with the camera if you would. To get that, I'm gonna have to sneak around to the front side and pinch the shoulder with my knees. Take the hand that's closest to the head, tuck it in to the inside of the shoulder right here. Take the hand that's closest to the feet, reach it across and grab my own clothing. Or I can just hold it here, but this gives me something. There, I'm gonna keep this arm pretty stretched out, and from here, twist across his head diagonally. Boom. And that presses him down into the ground without a lot of pressure on my part. There are some teachers who will teach to curve this arm, and the reason is because because it hurts the elbow too. Some teach not to because if I lose control, if this elbow bends too much, he can turn into me. Yes, and then begin to fight me this way. So most of my teachers have taught to try to pull this as straight as possible. Even though you're not getting as much pressure on the elbow, he can't easily get out of this as much. And you're still really pressing this elbow pretty badly. Okay, now here's a judo technique that may be useful. This is the Jujutsu way to do this. A judo person always talks about pinning people down to the ground by pressing the center of their body into the ground. Well, this might be useful. So you can lean this on while you're doing this. And so now you've got his body double pressed to the ground. So that's another thing that you can do. To transition to the shoulder control. Coming around and pinching the shoulder nice and tight to you. Hand that's close to the head tucks in. Hand that's close to the feet grabs across. Keep the arm pretty straight. And twisting your body across this way. That puts pressure on the shoulder. Slide it out so you can lift my arm and make the transition. Okay, good. That's it. And hug and twist. Good. Alright, so I'm down in.
Right,
This is the classic one. Yeah.
This right here. Hold the wrist. Pressure. Pull it up a little bit. Is that good?
Yeah.
What do you want me to do?
Hold it there just a second. Okay, good. If you want to put your knee on my shoulder now. Yeah. Okay, good. Good. And now, from there, take it back down. And transition into the shoulder lock. Ow! Okay, good. Okay. And hold it right there. Okay, good. That's really good. Right there. Good. Transit. Yeah, that feels really good. That isn't really bad. Good. Pinning the shoulder. The lead hand, the hand by his head, buries down into the crook of the shoulder. The hand near his feet reaches across and hugs into my own body. I'm hugging this in like I'm hugging my best friend. Hug really tight there. I want to keep the arm, there may be a little bit of a bend, but I want it pretty straight. If it gets very bent, I could get some good pressure on, but there's a better chance that he will be able to slip out of this by rolling in. Yeah. So I want to keep it pretty straight. I'm going to twist across right from there. Okay, good. That's the first one. That's a pretty good pin. To add pressure to this pin, you ready to add pressure? Or if, let's say I need to use this hand. Maybe I see he's got a knife here and I need to try to reach for it, but I got nothing to reach for it with. While I've still got control here, oh, you can keep it closed, it's okay. I can take my hand that's closest to my head and reach around his other hand, around the tegatana. Reach around the hand and now twist it forward, and now I can get my hand free. There's pain in the wrist that's keeping all this controlled now. And now I can reach for this without losing anything. So what I did is I reached up and grab around here. If his fingers are available, then there's an even easier version of this. I can reach up, pointing my fingers right toward his, grab any fingers that are available. There. There. Now this is free. What's happening is I haven't stopped the pressure on the shoulder. I'm just using the wrist and the fingers to pressure into that shoulder. There. Okay, so this is the shoulder only, maybe a little bit on the elbow if I got a little bit of a bend on it. This is the wrist drives the shoulder. This is the fingers and the wrist drive the shoulder. That's the best one right there. From there, let's say that you needed to free the hand that's on my shoulder blade to check for weapons, right? So you're going to take the hand that is not hugging and you're going to reach up other way, that way. Press my fingers back and down, and you should be able to then keep pressuring on it. Okay, good. Is your hand like that, or is it some other way?
I don't know.
Is your thumb up? This thumb? Or is it down?
It's up.
Okay, all right, then that's
Give
probably... Okay, that's good. Yeah. That feels like your hand is upside down to me. It does not feel like your hand is like that. That feels like it's good. Classically, I would come down here and take a pin out to the side and then transition over into the shoulder lock. And that's a fine movement. When I learned this as a police curriculum, they did it differently. Put your arm out to the side for me, please. There, so I could see where it is. Good. I put some pressure on to make him do that. Cross your ankles for me, too. That way I know that he's not going to do anything weird with any of those things. I would rather make this transition around to the front when I'm up and not down with him. So I'm going to do that here. That's another good use of this lock here. On this side now, my lead hand and knee are aligned together, so it's very strong. From here, I'm going to come down to the first of my shoulder locks. My knee is going to come right beside his head. My other knee is going to pinch around the shoulder. So I've got his shoulder pinched with my knees. I'll release this hand and bury it right into the crook and just release my hand there. From this place, I've got him pretty stretched out, and now I'm just going to twist over till this wrist goes across his head. I'm not just trying to twist the shoulder, I'm trying to move this part of his body down into the ground. Tap and you feel it. There. He should be pretty much totally controlled at this point. Can you roll at all? Okay, not at all. Now, let's talk about one problem that I don't like about this classical form. And I easily don't have a problem calling it a limitation of myself. And that is this transition here. From here, I'm behind the arm coming around. I've always struggled with that transition, and I know people who have gotten it really good, and they're so smooth that you can't really feel a weak spot in there. I've always struggled with it. So I do it slightly different. I do it based on a police curriculum. And that is that from this spot up here, come on, all the way up actually. Yeah, so I'm taking the arm there. I'm bringing the arm down, pulling him off, control. From this spot, what I've learned to do is not even go down on this side at all, but to come around while I still have control. So now I'm in the front, and I'm going to come down the front. What I'm going to do is a modified takedown. I'm going to put my knee down on the middle of his back, not his neck, because that could
Definitely not the neck.
Yeah, not the neck, but the middle, right around the shoulder blade, to do that judo pressure with my knee from there. Now I can take the arm, and I've got pretty good control here. If I'm worried about his legs, I'll tell him to cross his ankles. Go ahead and cross your ankles. If I'm worried about that other hand, I'll say put your hand out to the side. Good. And now I can reach. Yeah, there. I'm taking it off so you can see the pressure. He's going to tap when he feels it, and off. Coming back up here. One important note for training. I am not. So, by the way, I also took this finger lock on the way down, or I can. I'm here. I can take the finger lock on the way down so that I have it by the time I get here. One important note of training is I am not putting pressure down on the back and then relaxing the rest of my body. It may look like that, but what I'm doing is I've got my weight on my foot. I'm just putting enough pressure that he feels it, but my weight is on my foot. And I'm coming down, and then I'm going to begin to add more pressure. I don't want to crash down on him. Okay.
Remember, don't press the neck. Press right on the back.
Let's keep it on there.
Which one?
Oh, whichever one to keep me controlled. Okay, good. Now, I told him to cross his ankles, and the reason is because my legs could be dangerous, so he could tell me to cross them.
Cross your legs.
And the reason I'm going to do it is he's going to put some pressure on one of those pain points, and I'm going to do whatever he tells me. So he's going to give me the command.
Cross your legs.
At the same time, he gives me pain.
Sure you don't want to cross
Yeah, I'll do what he tells me to do because it hurts. All right, very good. All right, so you're down on the ground right here. You're going to walk around. Good. And drop on down into your knee. Good. And hold it right there, and that's nice and strong. Okay, good. Now tell me to cross my ankles.
Cross your ankles.
Okay, that's real good. Now from here, stay right here. If you want to, yeah, that's good. Now you can take your lead knee, the one by my head, and you can run it up on my shoulder blade if you want to. Oh, not that one. Not the neck. Down on the shoulder blade, right there. All right, good. Let's go. From here, keep the pressure on here. All right, good. And now relax while you've still got me pressured. That's real good. Okay. That was the basic shoulder pin. Now we need to get there from the basic ways that we tend to end up with someone on the ground. What we showed was the number one arm control. So maybe this is from a, go ahead and grab me on the shoulder here, and I managed to hit him back and extend this arm, so I brought him down to this number one. You could, of course, get this way from a grab. So he's trying to grab right there. So if we get the number one, we're going to bring him on down. I'm going to go really soft here this time. I mean, this puts him face down. So now that's ideal. So we're going to go ahead and bring him on down into these hands. All right? That's just perfect. Another way that we could end up in an easy pin situation is if maybe they were reaching down low or something, we blocked down and did what I call the kaiten lock, the shoulder rotary lock. Right here, we're going to bring them on down. And it already is here. I mean, that's, you don't have to do anything with this one. So that's a really good one. This one is good too. If it's a high punch, say, go ahead and throw it, high punch, and I block it, sorry. If it's a high punch, say, and I block it, I can get this number one and then transition over. If it's a low punch, I might be able to block it in and pull this down. And we're, go ahead and relax out. There. We're here already. So those are two ways that are pretty easy because their face is already down. What if their face is up? there's a lot of our super basic topples that end up that way. Say he's reaching to get me, and I do the pull down from behind. He's up. First thing I want to do is always control a limb if I can. So notice what I did. Go ahead and sit up here for me. As he was coming down, I reached and grabbed this wrist. But here's his extra tip. I didn't just reach out for it because it's too much of a chance I'll miss. Go ahead and sit that back down. I could miss it easily. What I always do, whether I'm going for a wrist turn standing or trying to get a limb down, is I start in the center of the body and make kind of a C. And so as he goes down, I just end up in it. So I've got it. But now I still have to turn him over. We'll go back to that, but I just want to show you how you at least get something. So come on back up. Let's say they're doing the knockout, and you do this head turn. You can see, again, their face is up. So we have a lot of our topples where they're going to end up here. Every time you can see that I've grabbed the hand with my lead foot to get some control. But we're going to continue on from here this time. In order to pin them down in a way that I can call the police, like I can get my hands free and stuff, I really do want to get his face down on the ground. So here's the basics. Here's a way that I've learned to do this. And that is that I'm going to go around like a clock and lift his shoulder up, and you just go with me this time, and roll over to be on this side. All right, go back over. So I'm going to not cross my legs over, but just slide around him like a clock. Okay, come on back up. Or at least over here. Now, that's with him being really cooperative, which he's not going to be. So I need to give him a little pressure to help him know that I need him to go over that way. One thing is I'm going to say, roll over. And while I do it, what's going to happen is I'm going to slide this hand here, the hand that's near his feet, down into his elbow. And when I lift, that's just to get him up off the ground enough to move. I'm going to start to put pressure on this elbow. That will get him over. At the halfway mark, come on back up, come on back over. Right here, I'm going to now start putting pressure with my knee and my hip into this elbow down. So down into the ground. And now I'll tell him to put his arm out to the side so I can see it, cross his ankles. I've got good down pressure on his elbow and his shoulder. That lets me get this pin if I want it. And now I can come right down into my lock. This one, I can add this one to it if I want to. From here, I can go ahead and do the other one where I just stepped on around here, where drop straight down into these locks, or where I go ahead and take this finger lock here. So any of that, but the main thing is to get them over. Last thing to consider is if that's not enough to bring them over. There's a couple things we could try to do. One school of thought is to bend this elbow and begin to put downward pressure right into his face from here. That one I have trouble with because I find when I try it, they start sliding. And so I have trouble with that one. That's probably me. So, but I have some other answers. One is, let's say they get stiff. What's going on is, by the way, go ahead and sit back up. I didn't wait too long to do this. As the person hits the ground, I'm working them over. So that's the first thing, is I don't want to wait too long. I want to let momentum help me carry them over. But let's say I got a late start and I start trying this and I can feel right away they're stiff. And if I take too long with this, well, they'll start wrestling. He'll start turning into me. Yeah, and there'll be all sorts of problems. So I need to very immediately, as soon as I feel this is not working, give him some help. The most obvious thing to do is to kick him, boom, right in the face, and then you can roll him over. Ideally, I don't want to do that because I don't want to hurt him, but this is going to end very badly for us because he's attacked me, and I'm trying to get him to a place where I can talk to him, and we can wait this out and calm down. I sometimes have to hit him to get there. So I'm going to whack and then take him over. Another thing I could do that's not a hit is I could, go ahead and turn your face to the side for me just so it doesn't hurt. I can just kneel on him there and say roll over, and he starts to roll and do it that way. So I can put some pain right onto his face and grind this in and say roll over, and he'll start to go. Okay, I'm not doing that to braid him. All right, so those are some ways to get him over. I could alternately cause him some pain right from here. I could just turn out and put pressure by extending my knees for right there, and that's a pin. So we could wait there all night for the police to arrive. I could put a wrist turn on, and we could wait there. So there's a lot of things I can do. Those are some pretty basic ones. Last thing, I suppose, is you could just drop right on him. Boom. Turn your face to the side for me. And just hold his arm in control. There. I can flex, and that's not going to feel too good. So that's another way. Yeah, you can see it doesn't feel good. My knee on his cheekbone really hurts a lot.
No, this is on my temple.
Okay, on the temple too.
It's just as bad.
Anywhere up through here is going to hurt really bad. And that's another thing I could do to wait this out. Okay, your turn. Yeah. Just go on down into the pen. Whichever one you want to do. Okay. Good. All right, stop. Okay. Get your leg out of the way. Uh-huh. Yeah. Okay. As you grab. Okay, here are other examples of this pin showing the very basic one and also several standing versions and whatnot, and just showing different ways that we might end up being able to go down into this pin. This isn't exhaustive, but it's just meant to show the various examples. And that was the regular pin.